For Friday, October the 21st, we talk about the Red Dead Redemption 2 announcement, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, and we ask you about your favorite stat keeping in games. Welcome to Level 170. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
And I'm Jala Prendes.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Rocking it 3 style tonight on what is probably going to be a truncated show as I am getting ready to go to Portland for the Portland Retro Games Expo. Hoping to meet and see a lot of Level folks out there. Please let me know if you listen to this show when you're there. But it's going to be a good time. I think. I know. It's going to be it's the 5th one we've done.
Holy shit, is that
Yay!
true?
Yeah.
There's no way that's true. You have not done 5 of these things.
Yeah, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Wow.
I know, right?
Woo-hoo.
Half a decade.
Yeah.
Happy 5-year anniversary of doing the thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Time is increasingly running away from me every single week, so that's cool.
Most assuredly. So yeah, that'll be that'll be a good time. We've already got we've got a pop-up channel in the Slack, people talking about doing things. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be fun. So as people listen, I will have already been there for a little bit. I'm probably uploading this from home. Yeah, I don't know. That's not even a fruitful line of like talking about where I'm uploading this from. Guys, I'm fried.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It is all good. It will be fun. You know, I also realized the other day, I'm like, wow, I've been on the level since 2014. It's been a couple of years. You guys have been dealing with for a while. Hey, that's pretty cool. You're
been
still
basking in
here.
your glory
Nice.
for a while.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because like all of our shows, like we had this big push of different shows. So the majority of the shows that have been around here, things I think of like as new shows, like Abject Suffering or Bonfireside Chat, even this as a reboot of an older show, like all of that happened in early 2013. So just a bunch of this stuff, we've just been kind of like we've picked a course and stuck with it.
Yeah, so, Cole, why have you just been drifting and not really, churning out new stuff? You clearly have too much time on your hands. You should do something with your life.
Yeah, I'm just I'm not even half-assing it. I'm quarter-assing it. I'm half-cheeking it. Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Oh gosh. So yeah, let's sorry, I'm gonna have to cut the banter short just because I do want to
that was the right place to end, I think.
Yeah, so
yeah, go
the usual kind of show for you, the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind, and we're gonna get started with the brief where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Do you guys mind if I do mine real quick, because it's kind of a headliner, but also there's not much to say about it. So we've been talking for the past year or so about rumors, leaks, etc. For a new Red Dead Redemption game, and today, like just under the wire, Rockstar released a teaser image and then confirmed that what the image was teasing, that Red Dead Redemption 2 is in fact a project that they are working on and is going to be coming out. And right now it is slated for fall of 2017. The image shows some kind of like silhouettes of 7 different figures walking away from a sunset. Thankfully they didn't do something ridiculous like Red Dead Resurrection or something like that. Like just pick it and go with it, right? But apparently they're going to be trying to do a bunch of stuff with multiplayer in this. I don't know if that means a persistent world. We literally know nothing. We are 2 days before the trailer comes out, but I'm jazzed. I'm excited that this is going to exist.
Yay!
Yeah, I saw that just before they announced the actual title, it leaked that they had registered the domain name Red Dead Online. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that name is a little on the nose, but I could go with that. Fine. But I'm excited about the idea of, a persistent online world or increased multiplayer in this game of some sort.
Yeah, or, just kind of take the Grand Theft Auto Online infrastructure or idea, do something entertaining and good with it.
It's a posse instead of a crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a stagecoach heist as opposed to a bank heist. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. You could still have a bank heist,
Yeah.
It's a slightly lower powered version of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah. So there are all kinds of, there's all kind of speculation. People who, really like the first game are coming out and talking about where this is going to fit into the chronology. Are they going to slip this back to be a prequel so they can get John Marston back, et cetera, et cetera? Why are there 7 people? Is this going to tie into that kind of bad-looking Magnificent 7 remake coming out? Probably not, but yeah. So if the new details are worth mentioning, if the teaser trailer that they put out later this week or yesterday as of when you hear this, if it's anything of consequence, we'll follow up. But as it stands, hey, neat, more open world Western stuff. I dig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you recently were playing the zombie stuff, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a very good experience.
I remember watching a little bit of that.
Yeah, it bugged out to the point where I couldn't make progress, and I had no idea how far back the save was bugged. So it was it was a very unhappy separation that I had from that game, which is a bummer because I like the base game plenty. It just apparently the expansion, the End of Nightmare 1, is just a broken mess, has been since launch, and they never patched it. And I'm not normally.
My hope. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm not normally the kind of guy to say, "Oh, this is buggy." Like when the enemies started showing up without heads, I thought that's pretty funny. And then when I found out they couldn't die and I had to reload, oh, well, that's a fun thing to have happen. I'll just redo this mission. But when it got to be in the double digits of missions, I had to restart because the headless horsemen started showing up. Then it became a real problem. So,
yikes!
Sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, you're fine. I was about to start campaigning for a feature that I really think should be in Red Dead Redemption 2, which is that they just explain how the hell your bullet time works. Like the whatever that was, the dueling aspect of Red Dead Redemption was just completely obtuse and horribly explained. So if they could just have the exact same thing in Red Dead Redemption 2 and explain it at all, I would be very happy.
Rockstar loves to put very relevant information in irretrievable text boxes that take up 1/16 of the screen for 4 seconds. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Let's move to a frivolous one before we talk about the big one that Jala has here. Dennis, tell me about this exciting new television property.
Yeah, so I feel like I need to lead this off with fuck King. I know that they're not the best company and they don't have the best practices and all that. So with that caveat aside, I will introduce the story and tell you why I think we should actually be excited about it. The story is that CBS is partnering with King to turn Candy Crush into a game show. And so 2 teams of 2 will compete on some kind of giant arena themed either directly on like the Candy Crush game board or some variant thereof. I imagine they have to modify it somehow. But compete on that in like a game show format. It's being directed or produced by the guy who did Fear Factor and Wipeout. I think Wipeout is the notable one there because if they're doing something along those lines, that could be fun. But the most notable thing about it, so details are sparse on exactly how this works. It's Candy Crush themed, 2-on-2 teams, and some kind of giant arena game board themed after Candy Crush. But the most interesting thing is the fact that there will be some kind of second screen integration where people watching at home will be able to play along or influence the game or something like that on their phones live.
Okay, if enough of you paid 99 cents, then it would be easier for the person playing the game on the show.
What that sounds like? That sounds like, oh goodness, that thing I brought up that was going to be a live stream game show. God, I can't. The name has escaped me for the moment. I brought that up on one of my briefs a while back. I can't
remember what it was either.
Crystal Maze, maybe it was. I saw a news article as I was searching around this that was a show that was supposed to come back with interactive elements it was announced back in 2015. I don't think it ever actually came out. And they went in a different direction.
Yes, it's Upsilon Circuit. Upsilon Circuit. Yeah. That's the one. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, but I think so to see CBS getting behind this in a big way, and again, probably with the wrong partner, and hopefully they don't try to trademark everyone else out of doing anything like this. That would suck. But I think that this is kind of a unique inflection point. I mean, is it TBS that started streaming esports, or not streaming, showing esports on live TV, as a sporting event. I want to say it's TBS. Someone correct me on that if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about TV at all. You're asking the totally wrong person.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's been on. I know they've streamed Counter-Strike at least. I believe they've streamed some of the, and I keep on saying streamed. They've shown this is not streaming. I'm not watching this on Twitch. It's on a freaking cable network, and a big one at that. If it's TBS or some other, it's something of that magnitude. But they're showing sports live.
Somebody is banging on their steering wheel like, it's not that, it's this other thing, or yes, it's that
USA,
one.
you idiot. Yeah, FX. One of those. Major cable network. How about that? I'll cover my ass that way.
There you go.
But I think that has kind of started putting cracks in the dam. The popularity of streaming overall, I think, whereas there have been interactive TV attempts before that have failed, I think the time is right for something like this to hit in a big way, and to have a fundamental impact on what people expect to get out of a TV show. So I know I'm casting a big vision here and I'm getting a little melodramatic, but I honestly think that an interactive TV in terms of literally the second screen experience is connected live to what you're seeing on the screen in some way, will be a major thing going forward. Yeah. And this is the first kind of shot across the bow of what could be a really big shift that blends the lines between playing a video game, between streaming a video game, and watching TV.
Yeah.
Well, and then, too, a lot of the people that are in my office all play Candy Crush. I mean, they don't play any other games other than, like, little Facebook games, but damn near everybody plays Candy Crush. So, I mean, that would be as much as, like, I'm just like, Candy Crush, okay, whatever. Like, there are bunches and bunches of people, countless people who, that's the perfect game to do it with,
Mm-hmm.
So
just the absolute worst possible people as we think about trying to enter a new market and again trademarking everyone out of it and what have you.
Yeah.
Well, Candy Crush is so ubiquitous; it's like all over the place. So it's just it works. You know.
I'm constitutionally skeptical of this. I think Candy Crush is really bad. I don't watch a lot of network television, and game shows are just the absolute pits. So like all of this over and over each other. I really don't like second screen shit either. It's just...
So do you sit giving like undivided attention to the television as you watch?
Oh no, definitely. I will. Well, okay. So because I'm streaming stuff, it usually is right there. And if I get a tweet or something, I will read it. Or if I'm working on something, there we go. It's never been a point in my life where I will sit there and like interact with a thing about the show as it's going on.
I would argue that you haven't been given anything worth doing that for. I mean, maybe I don't take you as a huge fan of wrestling. I hear that WWE does it pretty well, but really like that's what's interesting about this is there has been just such a drought of anything that does that in anything approaching a worthwhile way.
The
having something so overtly.
The closest that ever got to doing it was when Breaking Bad was on in kind of its last seasons. They ran this kind of second screen thing where you could like load up a thing and then in real time there would be like little details from the director or producer or something that just from the cast and crew, like little facts, like almost like a pop-up video kind of thing. And it was so distracting and gross and bad. And that's a thing that I really, really enjoy. And I did it for like 1 or 2 episodes and was like, I just can't do this. I'm just going to go read the Something Awful thread during the commercial breaks.
So basically this pushes all your nope buttons.
It really does.
But I guess the image that came to mind for me was the game show that I think it was Xbox put on for a while, the 1 versus 100.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and that is my aspiration, that we see something with that kind of ethos hit, national TV, and kind of bring an element of video gaming in some form to these kind of game shows.
Right. I don't know.
So yeah, you are right to be skeptical, and that's why I led off with yeah, King is the worst possible company to lead with on this. And I don't really have much of a read on CBS on whether or not to trust them or not. No one thinks about television networks anymore.
CBS is known primarily for appealing to really, really old audiences, or just incredibly middle America kind of thing. So Big Bang Theory was created so that it could appeal to the parents whose kids were turning 30 and working in tech stuff, who, oh boy, they say words I don't understand, there must be something wrong with them, stuff like that. CBS is kind of the canonical this is just garbage sitcom shit.
Yeah, so the odds are stacked against it, but I think there is there's a huge amount of potential here. So I'll be watching. I will expect the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah. Yep. Jala, you have a story of some importance here.
Yeah, I do. Oh my God, I'm on a roll. I've got pertinent stuff and everything. Okay, so this time I have got to tell you about the voice actors that are about to go on strike. The day that this episode releases, October 21st, is the date that was the ultimatum, when they might be striking. So when this comes out, they might be striking. Let me explain this. So SAG-AFTRA, which is a union for voice actors and performers and stuff, and
it's
video
also
game
an
companies.
Anime villain.
SAG-AFTRA.
Right. And video game companies, they're in discussion right now about the union's demands in a last-ditch effort to avoid the strike. If that fails, then they will be on strike. So this threat has only surfaced after over a year has passed since the first time they were publicly discussing, this proposal of having a strike. And the reason for it is that there was an expiration of a contract with several big publishers, including Warner Brothers, Disney, Insomniac, and so on. And from the official strike notice, it reads, "The video game employers we are striking continue to operate under the terms of an agreement structured more than 20 years ago for an industry that was only beginning to utilize professional performances. Since then, games have evolved to provide increasingly immersive and cinematic experiences that compete with television and theatrical motion pictures for consumer dollars. It is time for this now mature industry to pay and treat professional performers according to the standards and precedents that our union has established and defended for generations." Yeah. So that sounds reasonable to me. Now, in reply to this, though, the game companies are saying that they're deeply disappointed and point out that this organization only represents about 25% of the performers that are being used in the gaming industry. So it really just hurts them and ups the chances of their competitors being, used instead of them. SAG-AFTRA, huh?
Oh, I was going to say SAG-AFTRA specifically represents television and film actors specifically. Yeah. Like SAG being Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA, I forget what it stands for, but mostly being television. Yeah.
They say the union says that the work by their members are often the most popular gaming titles, though, because of course, because of who they represent, if those people cross over into video games, people know who those are and go, oh, I got to hear this guy,
like Willem Dafoe and Ellen Page, because that worked out so well.
Or, when people didn't realize Peter Dinklage was going to be a bad thing in Destiny. Right? It's a thing. Nathan Fillion coming in and voicing again in Destiny. I assure you, Nathan Fillion is probably an AFTRA, if not SAG.
No. Well, so the strike efforts anyway have received public support from people like David Hayter, Jennifer Hale, Phil Lamar, and Will Wheaton. So it's gotten some some press and some big people who people know backing it and saying it's important. The top priorities that are, trying to be discussed this week are that video game actors get paid residuals for their work, that they limit the sessions for vocal work to 2 hours in order to avoid vocal cord injuries, improving transparency so actors know whether they're playing a lead character or a supporting role, and also whether they'll have to be sexually explicit or offensive in the storylines, which that makes total sense. And then assurances that stunt coordinators will be present when capturing stunts or other dangerous work,
right?
Which, again, that's reasonable. So
I'm surprised by the 2 hours thing. Is that industry standard? Cool.
I don't know.
I forget. I don't know what the industry standard is. The complaint that I've heard, I follow this stuff because I really like voice acting, and it's a thing that interests me. The big deal for the 2 hours thing is that so much video game work specifically is going into a room and shouting as loud as you can as though you're dying for hours and hours on end.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like there are nuanced performances, there are scenes, but all of the incidental barks, all of the kind of like gameplay noises, like little diegetic interface things, like, okay, we're just going to have you act like you're being shot, for a little bit. And like that actually does go on and wear them out. There's a whole section on this actually in the, it's a documentary I talk about a lot. I think it's on Netflix still. John DiMaggio from Futurama and Adventure Time. He made this documentary with a whole bunch of other folks called "I Know That Voice." And
I watched that. It was awesome.
Yeah, and there are whole sections like about the history and stuff, but there's also ones about video game and anime work, and just like talking about how that is an increasing portion of people's work as it gets more popular, but also like it is more taxing than other kinds of things. So like by limiting these to 2 hours, they're actually trying to preserve their instrument and their future professional viability. If that makes any sense. Yeah,
of course it makes sense, Cole.
Yeah. No,
we can hear it when you've been podcasting for too long, okay?
Yeah. But that's just talking, I mean, six or 8 hours at a time. That's more mentally taxing than anything. Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. So just imagine if you're just yelling into a mic for a couple of hours. That's enough. You don't need to be yelling more than a couple of hours.
Yeah, like Jala does.
I've had to do so one of the fun things that I get to do at work is we sometimes need character noises. Like, okay, we've got a character in a video, like it's not voiceover, like they're not speaking, but like as they're going around and performing actions, we want to have them go like that kind of stuff, just utterances. And even though we mostly do tech videos at my day job, a lot of them have been like monster noises, and also like just somebody, like people in in violent situations. And those are like half hour to an hour kind of things, like where you are in there, headphones on, the microphone in front of you, with a monitor, like timing this out as you go on, doing take after take after take, trying to get the right ones. And just like, I can't speak after that.
I love the idea that so much of the tech industry is going into monster noises. Like, welcome to Lovecraft Tech.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I sympathize with the strikers. I especially think the industry response saying, "Hey, we don't need you," is foolish when they're talking about screen actors specifically.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We will find out when this releases, basically, what's going on with that. So, yep.
Yeah.
It won't, either way, it's not going to affect anything that's going to be released in the fall of this year, obviously, because most of that stuff's already been recorded. But it will, if it happens, it will be affecting stuff for 2017 for sure.
Yeah. Or they'll just get like interns and relatives to come in and do it.
Right.
Yeah. A little bit of cinema verite. Oh no.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and you answer it. Dennis, you pose the question this time. What did you ask the nice people?
Yeah, this was me. I said most games keep detailed stats on what happens within their worlds, but most of it stays behind closed doors. What are some of the most interesting data points that you've seen from games, and what statistics would you be most interested to see in the future?
And I'm going to get us started with Sam, who actually gives the one that I was going to give. Alpha Protocol tracks how many orphans you create, and that's really all that matters.
Oh, no.
Yep. Yeah. So it's I don't know how they calculate that. I think that it's probably just the number of people you kill times 2.5 or something. Or if it's just if it just randomly rolls up when you kill somebody, how many kids they were likely to have. But like, it is a ghastly number.
Well, in this section, in the mission that's in Utah, the number just skyrockets.
Jala, what does Lionel say?
He says, I recently played Catherine, and it was interesting to see the polls of what other players chose. If you're a Shin Megami Tensei player, you instantly recognize what the game is really asking with the questions, law versus chaos, so it makes it a bit artificial. However, I still found the questions fun to think about. The statistics I'd like to see more in games are those that appear to reflect the player's personality, even if it doesn't really mean anything about the player. I still like how it appears to. For example, the badges you get in Metal Gear Solid 4 for playing in certain ways, like crouching a lot, stunning people a lot, or going Rambo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes me think of the titles that you could unlock, and I know they did it as of Call of Duty 2. I imagine they took it forward, but that you could have Green Laser, the Murderator, or the Rambo, or whatever, and there were literally hundreds of them, and it was all kinds of just random stuff, like set off a mine with a knife, and you'd get the idiot tag, or stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like that with Resident Evil 6 and also Guild Wars 2 as well. There's all different kinds of titles you can get depending upon how much you do a thing. So
it's like achievements, kind of, or badges of honor, stuff like that.
Yep.
Or dishonor.
Jala, what does Ryan say?
Jala? Did we already do David?
Dennis, what did sorry, all of this stuff. Dennis, what does David say?
David says, in Fable, chickens kicked.
Don't understand that.
Which
think it's cruel.
Someone would have to go for a high score on that if they tracked it.
Yeah, well, they like the default. So Fable is pretty obsessed with chickens, and so
it's like Zelda in that way.
Yeah, I wonder if that's where they get it from. But like your default title that all the villagers know you by is Chicken Chaser, and before you even that's what they gave you before you. In my experience, that's what you got before you even qualified for another one. But then you could also get, it's Fable, so you also get the flatulent and all of that. You can buy them.
I like the idea that Peter Molyneux's promise that you can just have drastic impacts on this gigantic world and sway the hinges of a civilization boils down to kicking a chicken or not.
Yeah, you plant a tree.
Yeah.
You plant a tree and you plant a chicken in the ground.
Let's see here. Ryan writes, I was way into Halo 3 and Reach back when they came out, and I loved all of the stat tracking that Bungie did. They tracked tons of things, but my favorite were these heat maps that they generate that show where most of the killing or dying happened on a given map. I've read this as common practice in the development side of things, but it was really cool to see it as a player and try to use that info to tweak my strategy.
Cool.
Yeah. Bungie was one of the first, I think, to really publish that, but Valve specifically just tracks everything, literally everything, in order to tweak their design and stuff.
Yeah, and I'll shoehorn in my answer here because it's very relevant. The Killzone games, I think notably Killzone 3, whatever the most recent one is, had an online tool that had in-depth stat tracking like this, where not only could you look at heat maps for the entire, for a map for all the games played on it, but you could delve down into individual matches and then watch the heat map like evolve as the map went on, and watch like where individual players killed and were killed, and who took what pickups when, and when people switched weapons, and like literally everything, like a play-by-play of the entire map. And it was interesting because it was kind of represented almost like a top-down screenshot of the arena you're playing in, with then just kind of icons to designate different players taking different actions. So it was amazing that it must have been millions of matches that were played were captured down to this second by second level of detail.
Yeah. I love that shit. Like, give me the fire hose. Like, let me drink from it, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jala, what does Michael say?
Michael says, I'd love to see a leveling system based on the total amount and types of resources you've farmed up. That way players can get more effective in a direct fashion from doing resource gathering, which is usually people's least favorite game task. Now, I will have to say, like, if you are farming crafting materials in Guild Wars, you can totally get experience for that, and that is a thing that you can level up, like, a lot, especially on the lower levels. So, yeah, that's the thing that happens.
Is that specialized experience? Like, are you just leveling up a skill that makes you more effective at doing that same thing later on, or is it general experience?
It's general XP. Okay. If you want to then take those materials and craft them, then you get crafting experience. But otherwise, it's general XP just to gather the materials.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
I like the idea in like a Mr. Miyagi style leveling system where different mundane activities correlate to different combat skills. It's like, hey, you go wash these windows and you're gonna get better at blocking as well. And
yeah, the more you pick herbs, the better you get at ducking.
Yeah.
Well, then, like when I played Morrowind, I would have been the best at ducking ever because I totally was like spazoid about that.
Let's hear Dennis. What does David say?
David says PvP in Kingdom of Loathing uses some interesting metrics to determine winners, since it's not actually a fight. Ways to win in the current season, and I love that these rotate season to season. They are most unique boozes drank in the last 30 days, most ancient frozen dinners eaten, and finally, who has the most of a given letter in their equipped gear, which the min-maxing for that has to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man. I like the idea of, like, unlocking a secret shop for that, the Aardvark's Armory. I don't know.
Main proprietor is Aaron.
Aaron's Aardvark Armory, yeah. Yeah. No, I just I love that, like, just that arbitrary thing, the arbitrary nature of that. Let's see. Ollie writes, it's not unique, but the simple addition of a win-loss record is a huge thing in a game for me. I have a ridiculous competitive streak, and when there is a chance to make my positive number bigger than the negative, I will do it. Over and over again. My most obsessive, I once did a 15-season career mode in Sensible World of Soccer with a win-draw-loss record of 780 to 4 to 0. And to this day, I regret the draws.
Yep.
They will never come off your record, Ollie. You are stuck with them for all eternity.
Yeah. You wish you could leave them off when you tell the story, but you know you can't.
Go ahead and please rub it in. Please rub it in, because Ollie is super competitive. He's nice about it, but yeah, he totally is all the time. And he's just like, I'm going to take up swimming because you mentioned you might possibly do a triathlon sometime. So I need to learn how to swim now so I can do an Ironman. Okay, Ollie.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
Jala, what does Kilo say?
Kilo says, I'd love to know how many times I clicked in Diablo 2.
I think NASA would have to calculate that.
Right?
Yeah, it's like Barney's beer tab from The Simpsons.
Right?
It's like I play Diablo 2, but it's really just because it's a version of Cookie Clicker.
Dennis, what does Sid say?
Sid says the upgrade points in Nanobreaker are called gallons, which are also supposed to represent how many gallons of nanomachine monster blood you've spilled. Also, don't play Nanobreaker.
I've never heard of it. I think the odds of me accidentally playing that game are kind of low.
It has nanomachine monster blood, so that's cool.
I like nanomachines.
Yeah, if you're trying to convince me not to play it, you're failing.
Yeah, I kind of want to go get it right now. Fuck. Dropping everything. Tim writes, Left 4 Dead 4 kept track of all of the zombies that you were killing until you hit zombie genocidist. But beyond that, I don't know. I'd love to understand the numerical boosts of elemental and status effects attacks in RPGs. I mean, usually water attacks are strong against fire enemies, but how does that work in the math of the damage that you deal? 50% increase? 20%? Or is it randomized per attack? Also, how long will the enemy stay confused if you hit them with that Elbit? 3 turns? 6 turns? Random?
I will say I have this problem as well, and it causes me to way overvalue the scan ability in Final Fantasy games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have to know. I have to see exactly how many HP are left.
Yeah.
Don't show me a damn bar.
It's tough, right? Because I dig a game that uses a little bit of that card kind of front to the way that it presents things, because it gives you a little bit more of an understanding of the way that the numbers could shake out. Like when talking about confuse, like I'm thinking about this because I'm playing a lot of Pokemon right now, but like in the Pokemon card game, you stay confused as long as you don't flip tails on a like on a coin flip or something like that. From what I remember, in the game itself, it's just it does feel like entirely random. It could be doing the exact same thing, but it's not transparent. And I think that's probably just a disposition thing that makes you want to see underneath the hood like that.
As soon as you said flip tails, I started thinking about flipping tables.
Yeah, it's only a couple letters off.
Yep.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I almost wonder if it's kind of a mark of lazy game design, where it's like, well, if they could see what was going on under the hood, it would be way too easy to exploit and break this and make it completely like easy. So we need to hide information from them to keep the game interesting, rather than make the actual mechanics of what's going on complex enough to, be understood and used without immediately breaking it.
The other side of this, though, you get into something like Dark Souls, where you can see exactly what the at least in a vacuum, what upgrading a particular stat or upgrading a weapon or switching its infusion, like you can see how that's going to affect the damage calculation against just like a regular enemy, like the bog standard attack kind of thing. But it presents so much information that the prime criticism against that game is that its interface is inscrutable, and I don't think that there is an elegant way to lay that screen out when you're laying all of that bare.
That is a case study in the fact that icons do not always make things more clear.
Oh, quite the opposite.
Yeah. It's like, well, we've got so many stats. If we just have a creative icon to represent each one, that'll totally sort it out in people's minds.
What's the icon for faith? Jala, what does Robert say?
Robert says, the PS2 remake of Square's open-world JRPG Romancing Saga had a system in which each side quest you completed contributed to an invisible timer tied to a hibernating jewel beast waking up and making its way across the continent, destroying towns in its path. If you want the best outcome for the world, find this thing and take it out as soon as you can. It was neat in theory, but unfortunately the timer was also tied to foes defeated, which not only discouraged level grinding, but also gave many players, myself included, a rude awakening, pun probably intended. Did I mention that the Jewel Beast is also a super boss?
So a big open world that invites you to just kind of take your time and do what you need to do. Well, by doing that, you buck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you rush ahead to try to find it, you're under-leveled for the accomplishment counter. So, yeah, that sounds not fun at all.
Yeah. Womp,
Whoopsie.
womp. Was that a Mortal Kombat sound effect? Yeah.
Yep.
Jala, what does Allison say?
I just read Robert, but I could read
Yes,
Allison
you did.
too.
Dennis, what does Allison say?
The Xbox One version of Gone Home keeps track of how many footsteps you've simulated and even has a leaderboard so you can brag to your friends.
That's pretty funny.
I wonder if that is like an Xbox exclusive. Like it's on the back of their box.
Only it's a pedometer for your fictional character. Only only the Xbox One has the computational power to handle this aspect of Gone Home. That reminds me, so last weekend I finished the main campaign of Layers of Fear, which is very similar to Gone Home, at least in the way that it kind of presents itself. You know, you're opening up a lot of drawers, you're doing a lot of walking and what have you. And I got an achievement. It was called like Obsessive Inspiration or something like that. And it was for opening some ridiculous number of drawers in the game. So it was keeping track of how many drawers or containers I opened up. But what I wanted was how many of them I closed and how many doors I closed behind me.
Yeah.
Because
the answer is all of them, right? It's equal to the number that you opened, I assume.
Right. Well, Layers of Fear closes some doors behind you, like they slam closed. I'm like, no, let me close the door. Come on.
Yeah, and there were people commenting when you were streaming that about, I love how he's just totally closing all the doors, and I'm like, Cole's not a monster. He's going to close it.
Yep. If there was a light to turn off, I would turn off the fucking light.
Money Smith approves, by the way. He's smiling right now, and he doesn't know why.
Greg writes, the recent Fallout games, 3, New Vegas, and 4, really keep detailed stats, not only of how many missions that you've done and how many humans you've killed, but also things like how often you've used stim packs and what are your most favorite weapons. What your most favorite weapon is. As for stats that I'd like to see how many people choose option X as opposed to Y when dealing with a choice, similar to how LA Noire could let you see during an examination which percentage chose each option. I feel like that's a thing in Telltale style games. Like Life is Strange did that as well. Made me feel like a monster for certain choices.
Well, Walking Dead also does that, and that was going to be the thing that I was going to point out because I like that a lot. So, yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I feel like I like it less when there is an objectively right choice.
Yeah.
Because that effectively then it shows you like the curve you're being graded on, or like you're in the 33% of idiots. Congratulations. But if it is as someone said earlier in the answers, if it is related to kind of how the player is expressing themselves or kind of the way that they're playing the game, then it becomes way more interesting to me.
Yeah, Life is Strange definitely like threw in enough kind of inconsequential stuff in there, like, oh, did your plant live or die? It's like stuff that is kept track of and you're going to see it later on, but like it doesn't really affect anything. Like there's enough non-life or death stuff in there,
That's like in The Walking Dead, they had the little boxes that would pop up to let you know when you'd made a meaningful choice versus just an inconsequential one. And so I'd always see the box and be like, oh God, what have I done? Crap. And immediately like downing whatever I just said.
Leaping for the machine. Like, no. And then finally here, Jala, what does Jeremy say?
Jeremy says, I'm not sure if this is a hidden or visible statistic, but I hoarded first aid kits the first time I played Silent Hill 2, leaving poor James Sunderland in a near constant state of injury. My roommate and I rented Silent Hill 2 the day it came out and played it together with me largely at the controller. Every time we got stuck on a puzzle, my roommate wanted to examine Angela's knife. I imagine Silent Hill fans are wincing right now since they know our combined decisions bought James a one-way ticket to Suicide Town. I also still remember the two of us downloading the first FAQ when it popped up a day or two later, and our alternating looks of embarrassment and frustration at realizing that our equal contributions to James's sad fate.
At least there were multiple ones of you on the firing line.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's really funny. That's also like a really good ending to that game, though. Like it's very affecting.
Yeah, honestly, like that, and that's the tough thing is like you hear about people going through and kind of very intentionally trying to get the good ending, if it can be called that. But really, that the one that's most in line with the theme of the game is probably one of the worst ones.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for writing in. If you want to participate in these, go to the facebook.com/The Level Podcast. in order to check these out on Tuesday afternoons, courtesy of Dennis and Jala, and oftentimes with questions suggested by fans. So yeah, we did that. Jala, you reminded me in a portion that I edited out that I didn't ask you what stats you wanted to see. So what stats do you want to see?
The only thing I was going to say was going to bring up that game that we never talk about. I wanted to see how many times people die globally on this or that boss for something like Dark Souls.
Okay.
That would be fun for me, just to see how many times everybody died on average, and then how many deaths total each of these bosses incurred in Dark Souls. That would be pretty fun, I think.
Yeah. Dark Souls 2. In Majula, kind of the hub area, there's a gigantic monolith that's kind of like just a memorial for those who died. If you go up to it and examine it, the plaque actually, at least from when I played, showed you the total number of deaths that happen across basically your entire system. Cool. Of people who were online. If you were offline, it would show you how many times you died. So cool. we're almost there. It's not as granular as you would like, but I would really like to see that too. And they're almost there because there was like a website, at least for Dark Souls 2, again, that would like show at a glance like what the most active areas were, like for PvP and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So
was that an official like sanctioned site? Ooh, say that five times fast.
Sanctioned site, yeah.
Or was that? Come on. But was it sanctioned, or was it kind of fan site?
It was official. Like they had access to the data and they serviced it. They could have been making it up for all that I know. They also like showed, I believe, like a couple months after it came out, like, the most killed enemies. And unfortunately it was the hollow dogs actually was the most killed enemy in Dark Souls 2. Yeah, poor puppers. But also you could farm. If I remember correctly, you could farm useful stuff off of them. So
I think they're good for human effigies at least.
Yeah. Which, worth getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past week or so. I'm going to come out and just own this right away. Have not played anything. I saw that there was a demo available for World of Final Fantasy, which is a game that I'm kind of curious about. But the Vita version isn't available. I downloaded it on the PS4, but then I realized I'm not going to play this twice, because playing the demo gets you an item in the actual game. And fuck playing a turn-based RPG on a home console.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so I guess I'm waiting for that. I was intending to set aside an hour to play that today, but no such luck. Womp womp. I hope and I think that things are going to be better, maybe not next week because I will have been traveling, but the week after that. So let me apologize right now for not bringing anything to the table for so long as I've gotten ready for this big event.
Well, it's all good, dude.
Yeah, because, damn you for, doing other stuff for the network and, going and doing the show and whatever.
Yep.
Shake a fist, too.
Yeah. So who wants to go next?
I can
jump in.
Jala spoke first.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't even play any damn co-op. Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
The only thing I did was play Steins Gate. So I played a bunch of Steins Gate, though, so that's good. I got my first ending. Yay.
Oh, nice.
So,
which character?
Suzuha.
Okay, yeah. That's the first one you're able to get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I got that one. And, it was a satisfying ending. It wasn't a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
It was a satisfying ending. And I was like, this is good. I know there's more of them. Right now I'm muddling through a replay and trying to go through. And I had a question as to the email chains. I understand that some of them lead to other parts of chains which unlock achievements and whatever. And if you do answer it or catch the calls and stuff like that, influences everything. But are there some that are critical and some that just aren't, or are they all critical?
There's a difference between ones that will just get you optional scenes, and there are ones that actually will inform the true ending, and that is frustrating and kind of bullshit. I could tell you the uniting theme behind them, but I think that the way that you're kind of meant to play it is to actually go through go through the main game, just kind of answering those as you see fit. Get all of the kind of like non-standard endings with the different characters up until you get the bad ending at the very end, and that gets you the information that you need to go through and then answer the questions.
Gotcha. So like, I do have a question about that too. So like when I'm replaying it, if I'm replaying it and just like, answering as I see fit or whatever, does that, like, is it possible for me to repeat Suzuha's ending since I already did that?
No. So the nice thing is, starting with Suzuha's ending, and Suzuha is like the girl who works at the TV shop downstairs. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Starting with hers, each of those chapters is going to be like centered on a particular character, and the choice that you're going to need to make is like going to be kind of highlighted. Like there's going to be a lot of anxiety around it. Like you saw it. Like, this is going to affect so and so and so and so and all of that. Like there's a lot of internal monologue around it. Like they just basically say everything short of, well, this is going to be an ending. But the incidental ones, they don't affect that. They only affect the very end.
Okay, cool. So I only have to really Well, like it's surprising because this is like the first game I played in a while where I've gotten like quote bad end or whatever, and like I enjoyed it. Yeah. I liked it. I'm looking forward to more. And not only that, like, okay, I don't like every character. Mayuri, who is the, super ditzy one that I really could not stand in the beginning, is more tolerable now, especially like later on in the game, like, the later part, I'd say chapter 5, 6-ish. And then also Daru, as he stops being like, I mean, he's always a perv, but like he cuts out a good chunk of that and starts doing stuff that's useful and important, and then like starts showing actual like, legit feelings and stuff. Like when he starts doing that, he's actually a pretty cool character too. So I'm actually liking a lot more of the characters as time goes on. So, the game is only growing on me now. And again, like, as I said last episode, it is a shame that it takes half of it before I get there. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure, and again, I haven't watched the anime, but I'm pretty sure that in the anime, it is like a lot faster kind of transition. Yeah.
It really and truly is. And it sucks because like the ride that they're taking you on, like for a lot of these, you start out with characters who all have these very distinct kind of like personality quirks. In varying degrees of obnoxiousness, but like as shit gets real, they're revealed to be defense mechanisms that they shed as there stops being time for that. And so like it's actually kind of cool to see them grow up over the course of this.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say too that while I still stand by this assertion that I have that having not seen the anime, I still think the anime is probably better overall, like better pace, better, whatever, better flow. At the same time, I like that this is a visual novel that you can go through and make choices, although you're not really making choices and you still are just being, dictated like what you see and when, and you have to keep repeating it. Like, I like the fact that you can go through and just have it all peeled back layer by layer. I'm pretty sure that the anime would not be able to do it quite the same way, but maybe I'm wrong, like.
That's probably roughly similar to the conclusion that I came to when we talked about it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So that's all I really have to say about that. I am in the middle of replaying it, so there's not, like, as I replay it, I haven't gotten to, the next ending yet. So, I mean, there's not any new ground to cover yet, other than, like, Suzuha's ending, which, again, I did like. And I liked, in that path, there is a point when Okabe, the main character, just starts going down this dark train of thoughts.
It's totally
horrible and, like, terrible. And it's awesome though, because, given the fact that a lot of the rest of this game is so happy and silly, like the fact that they made it get real and the shit got real, like real, that was pretty cool. Although he did like back away from that very quickly and then just stay away from it after that. And, that was the end of that. But still, the fact that they broached the subject at all and, was pretty cool. So.
Yep, I like Suza's ending a lot. The other endings all have a lot to recommend them, but like that one in particular is like, oh, this actually does acknowledge maybe not the reality, but kind of like a logical conclusion of what he's going through, or what like what this main character would go through. It's a little bit of a Groundhog Day kind of thing too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and this game covers a lot of the same ground as does, you know, something like Life is Strange. You know, they're all roughly linked by some of those kind of commonalities, but yeah.
Well, and then too, I like the portrayal of like I think that it's a successfully executed portrayal of kind of like the degradation of like, you know, his ability to tolerate everything that's going on and his ability to cope with it. Like the way that just starts to break down as he keeps on going back and countlessly repeating the past and trying different stuff and just nothing working out for him the way he wants. Like that breakdown is awesome. Like I'm very, very interested in those kinds of mental games, if you will, like where you see it where the character is challenged and just, you know, when you can see a progression like that and it's treated properly, you know, it kind of emotionally grips you and you can totally relate to it. And that's how it felt with this. So yeah, like it takes a complete like fucking 180 from where it was before, where it's like, man, I don't know about this game, Kole. Oh my God, I'll go. I think it might get better later. No, it got really a lot better.
Oh, that's
like,
great to hear.
Bam, just like all at once. You know, all at once, just damn. Okay.
Now, if only they had an editor who could.
Right?
Yeah.
So
no, it's
but then again, the glacial pacing and the way that they have it set up at the beginning, where it's so happy-go-lucky, it works in a way because it just builds you up to where that you're expecting certain things out of this game, and then it throws you for a loop. Yeah. And you know, kind of a literal loop, a time loop. So. Yeah. But
quick question for you: are you literally going back to the beginning of the game after Suza's ending?
I did. I don't know what I'm skipping through all the text and stuff. Do I not need to do that? I can just go to like chapter 5 or something.
Yeah, you can go to the beginning of her chapter and then just skip to the actual choice. That'll save you a lot of time as you go because there are like 5 endings. It'd be like that'd be some 999 level bullshit if you had to go through the whole thing over and over again.
After having had to do that so much with VLR, this, you know, like I just automatically was like, okay, so I got to go back to the beginning, and every one of these little minutiae that I've been dealing with and responding to throughout the game is important for some reason. It's good to know that I don't have to keep doing that, and I can just skip forward. So thank you for that pro tip.
Yeah. The only one that you need to go back to the beginning for is to get the true ending with all of the proper responses.
Groovy.
Yep. Cool.
Works for me.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, so I've been trying one of the new co-op games that I talked about last week, which is Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris.
Okay.
It is a co-op isometric perspective game, so think like a Helldivers kind of perspective. Only it is intensely focused on puzzle solving and teamwork versus just blasting endless waves of minions.
This is the one
and don't
where
get me wrong,
you're playing as Laura and also an animated like Aztec statue.
Not
or
excuse
Egyptian,
me,
sorry.
a god. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
No, not an Egyptian god. You know, they don't mess around. Yeah. So Lara Croft, it's weird. So you can play it 4-player co-op, but it forces you to have at least one adventurer and at least one god. Because it is asymmetric in terms of their skill sets. And that's what a lot of the puzzling revolves around, is figuring out like who needs to be where, when, and how to get them there to unlock the way forward.
Yeah.
So I've been playing this couch co-op with Jen. She went with Lara Croft, so I went with I believe it's Horus, something like that.
Okay.
Whatever.
Does he have some kind of animal head? That's a trick question.
No animal head. It's Isis. Yeah, Isis is the lady god, because they have Laura's counterpart is Carter, who I've never heard of before, but he's like a dude adventurer. And then there's, I want to say it's Horus, and then Isis is like the lady god. But Osiris is like the main guy, who you are literally reassembling. Like, you're going through all these tombs to get bits of his statue and bringing them back to a main area. And eventually that will make something happen. There's it's that is not clear. And the entire time you're being beset by Set, the like evil god of Egyptian lore, I guess, who is trying to take over Osiris's gig. So it's really interesting in terms of that story element. Everything is over the top, and like you're literally playing as an Egyptian god and using magic and stuff. So it does not attempt to do any of the Tomb Raider like, oh, this seems normal but maybe is a little bit spooky, and then it slightly gets more and more paranormal. This is just straight up from the beginning supernatural.
Yeah.
But that any co-op game, it's really hard to keep like a dramatic tension as you're like randomly running around and decide to have a little like fight trying to bomb each other and jumping off ledges and stuff. Yeah. So it's fine that it doesn't take that too seriously, and they don't try to go too much into an in-depth plot. There's enough to get you running after the next MacGuffin, and that's really all you need. But the different temples are really well done. Each one has a very distinct theme, be it like water or fire, or what have you. So they kind of go through the different elements, but they also have really unique puzzle set pieces. So in the water temple, you're doing all this platforming, above a river that has all these mines floating down it. And in the fire palace, this one's a bit weird. You fight a giant dung beetle / god who's rolling you around. So you are literally standing on his giant, please God, at this point, I hope, petrified dung ball. And he's like rolling you around the stage trying to get you as you run the opposite direction on top.
You know the answer.
I don't want to look too deep on anything regarding to that or related to that. But it's a twin stick shooting for like the combat part, pure and simple. But the interesting thing is the equipment that you get actually has an impact on the other player. So you get an amulet, and you kind of pick when you're doing well enough, your amulet activates and gives a benefit to the other player / players, which is a really interesting way to do things that I haven't seen before. So I thought that was pretty cool. That you're kind of coordinating to pick attributes that you give out to others versus just keep for yourself in your equipment.
Yeah. Huh. So you even have
puzzling.
You even have to coordinate on like a shared loadout.
Yeah, and it's preference based. Like Jen absolutely loves using bombs, so she's got a bunch of upgrades, or rather, I've got upgrades that give her, larger bomb radius and everything like that. I like having fire elemental added to my attacks, so she's got stuff that gives me that, and you kind of talk back and forth and figure out what works. Almost every piece of equipment though also comes with a drawback, so that's the really interesting discussion. Is you can have plus bomb radius but negative to movement speed or something like that. And so everything that you get is a trade-off, and so it really does kind of lend itself to the customization and how you want to play. And that's the rarer loot has more pluses and fewer minuses, but there's always some kind of trade-off.
Right.
They also have the mechanic that you can shift back and forth whether it is day or night, which is interesting. Like they randomly just reveal. There's like a machine in the home world area that you can, turn it for, you turn like a wheel around and it flips everything from day to night. So go figure how that works. But there are certain pieces of equipment that only give you a bonus in the daytime or in the nighttime. So you have to give consideration to that, and it kind of behooves you to keep a larger inventory in order to solve all that or get the most out of your equipment. The puzzling, like I said, is the main piece of this, and it's a really nice blend of like critical thinking and positioning and actual like physics based execution.
Yeah.
So a lot of it centers around moving these kind of explosive bombs, rolling them from like one place to another, and kind of opening gates or moving levers to extend bridges for them and everything like that. before they explode to get them to the right destination. And again, you kind of have to think through it and coordinate with your teammate on, okay, I will roll it from here to here, but then I need to run over here because I need to use this power that only I have to open the gate. So then you'll pick it up and roll it from there through that, but then we're going to have to do a little bit of combat, and so we'll both need to coordinate on that. But then you go and hold this one lever open, and I'll roll. And so like it's very intricate and has as much to do with execution as just pure solving the puzzle.
So those bombs have really, really long detonators, I guess.
They do. No, literally, it's minutes long.
Okay.
And there are challenge dungeons as well, which is literally just opens up into a room, and it's just a puzzle that is way, way harder than anything you'll encounter in the normal levels that have combat. And you really have to stew on that, and that takes a good 10 minutes to solve. And the one that we just finished was probably my favorite so far. Was it actually dropped the bomb into a canal, and then you kind of have to run along and jump across the canal and stand on a series of levers and open a series of gates. And sometimes if you're opening a gate for the bomb, it puts up another gate that means that players can't cross an area. So you have to coordinate like when, who is moving where. All that, then once you get to the end of the canal, you actually have to take the bomb out onto dry land and use your own explosives to literally blast it up into the air. Which, think about that. Hey, we've got this explosive bomb we need to move. Let's put a stick of dynamite under it and see how that works. But it's like this physics puzzle thing of you got to roll it into place, drop a bomb, run out of the radius of your own bomb, and then set that off to launch it into the air and like over walls and up ledges and stuff to get it to its final destination. It's incredibly complex, and when you execute it and like get it there just in the nick of time, like we were high-fiving, like cheering when the wall went down, because we'd gotten the bomb to where it needed to go. It was a really fun experience. So I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
I had a friend who wanted to play that with me, and then like just kind of poofed because he got very busy with 3D animation schooling. So, he floated off. But yeah, that was something that was on my radar for a while and then dropped off. So I'm glad to hear that it's actually a fun game to play co-op. I'll have to consider it for some future point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. And like the penalty for death is not that high. As long as both of you stay alive, you can just respawn after a couple seconds. So it encourages you to try stuff and be silly and, just have fun, which is what you want in that kind of game.
It's so
go ahead.
Like the Go games have been around for what, like 3 years now. They did Hitman, then obviously Lara Croft, and then Deus Ex. Like those seem a lot less like an anomaly when you realize that like the first one of these came out in like 2010, like the Lara Croft puzzle platformer kind of things. Like it's they seem kind of in line with each other, even though one is a board game simulation, the other one is very much like this co-op puzzle solving kind of idea. That the fact that Eidos and then Square would be willing to take these kind of risks with their stuff. I'm surprised we haven't seen more stuff like this actually.
Yeah, I mean, and it's paid off for them really well. Like it works seamlessly.
Yeah.
I don't have a single complaint about it being like this shouldn't be a Tomb Raider game or this fell out of place in Tomb Raider land. Mm-hmm. It all worked very well. So very well executed by that team.
Yeah.
Cool.
So given that this is an Egyptian themed game, I'm very disappointed that they missed the opportunity to call it Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Ra is curiously absent. He's just like they're pretending like he's not the dude.
Yeah,
it's Osiris. So guess that they were trying to get Ra, but there were contract negotiation problems and
it's like an X-Men thing. It's a Fox Sony deal. Yeah,
the God Union went on strike. So.
Oh gosh. Well, that sounds like an episode.
It is an episode.
Yeah. Do you want to button it up?
Buttons.
Let's.
Now it is time for us to end this. Thank you so much for listening to level number 170. We appreciate it. If you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, either on early release or when it actually comes out, come see me and Gary and Nick, I believe, along with other Duckfeed fans. We're going to be at the Portland Retro Games Expo at a kind of big-ish booth. We upgraded the booth size this year. We're playing Pokemon Yellow, and we're trying to catch all 136 Pokemon that are available in that game without trades and stuff like that. If you catch Pokemon, you get a button, and we cross them off the list. We have a gigantic board set up where we're just crossing the Pokemon off like we're killing them instead of catching them. But it's,
you have a card deck. It's just 150 or 136 cards.
Yep. So it's always a really fun time. We're having a meetup on Saturday evening. You can check that out. There's a banner on the homepage that is Saturday at 7 p.m. at Quarter World, which is an arcade/bar kind of restaurant kind of thing. These are always, again, a very good time. And also, if you're not available on Saturday night, both Gary and I will be at the Retronauts meetup, although I think the tickets for that are sold out. So if you're already going to that, we'll see you there too.
You're also welcome to come see me, but I'm going to be in Cincinnati and not at any kind of convention.
Right.
So probably not nearly as exciting. So, offers out there.
I'm busy. Don't come see me.
I doubt you can catch up to her, actually.
I'll be running.
Yeah. So I mentioned this obliquely last week, and it doesn't take effect until November 1st. And I will also remind you next time, but we are updating the Patreon campaign to make certain content much more readily available. And as part of that, different tiers are going away and being recombined. We'll make that announcement on November 1st, but you may end up needing to go in and reselecting your reward tier. I think you're going to like what you see there. All those details are available on the State of the Union stuff at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. I think that's all of the business aside from the usual things. It has been forever since we've gotten a review on iTunes. And by God, I would love to see that. So if you can take the time, if you can take a moment, we would really, really enjoy seeing it.
Yeah, we
I hate
would,
if it had to come
for
from
real.
Finisteria, so.
Finisteria. Yeah. Cool. Am I missing anything, you guys?
No.
No, good stuff.
Okie doke. So I've been Cole Ross at Cole Ross on Twitter.
I've been Dennis Furia at DFuria on Twitter.
And I'm always Jala John in places.
And let us talk about some titles after this music. Another light week for this.
Right?
I got a couple for you.
Yeah. Okay,
I got
Dennis.
some.
Dennis, go.
Yeah, I've got Welcome to Lovecraft Tech. I've got Give Me the Fire Hose. And then I think an easy layup for my favorite is Aaron's Aardvark Armory. Of course, with Armory spelled with 2 A's.
I have totally different ones.
Okay.
So we've got more than you thought. Half cheeking it.
Oh yeah, that's the one I forgot early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pushing your nope buttons.
Okay.
Sanctioned shite.
Okay.
And then finally Lady God, because I find it fucking hilarious that you can't just say goddess.
Who said that?
Oh yeah, there's a word for that.
That was who else? Dennis, the one talking about gods and stuff.
Lady God.
Lady God.
So
Lady God.
I had quarter assing it and half cheeking it. Those are two separate entries. So half cheeking it gets it has 2 votes. I think that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Yeah. Let's go with that. Dennis, you have any objections?
I know I really love Aaron's Aardvark Armory, but that can live in the most notable that didn't get chosen category.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to edit this very quickly, and then I'm going to go to bed.
Go.
All right,
dude. Have a good night.
Talk to you after things.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Good luck over the next couple days.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.